Hello folks, thank you for tuning into Tarot for today. I'm going to do a quick reading. This one is in regards to a particular question being answered. The situation is that a particular person is living with the father of their kids, but they are currently separated. They are involved with another person, and there is distance physically with this person, but also emotionally. They have been together for a few months, but there's a bit of tension inside the relationship because of the distance, the emotional distance. So what I've done is a quick spread. We've got the person that was asking, the person or the energy around, the way that they're seeing this other person, and then we've got, what would improve the relationship. And so let's start with the person that asked the question. Obviously this is around, this actually says not knowing, and we've got a figure here who has a blank canvas. So there's two things that are happening with this. There is the opportunity to be more knowing about what it is that they want from the situation. What's the ideal relationship? What can we create when the thing has been reset? And when you look at their person, now ethically, you're not meant to tune into what another person's doing without their permission. What does happen is that you are holding in mind a version of that person that's presenting. So the energy that's coming through is that of this other person is this need for solitude. That the fact that they need to step away to gather themselves, reset themselves. Some of you out there might be aware of attachment theory and would possibly label this person an avoidant. And so the dynamic there is one's an avoidant, one is anxious, and one needs reassurance, one needs space. In the middle here we have what would improve the relationship, and we've got the containment card here. It's about how we handle our emotions, what we do with them. When we contain them in a way that suppresses, what we end up doing is making the situation worse. When we contain it in a way that we open ourselves to look at things in a different perspective, it allows for relational repair within ourselves as the individual and as a relationship. I did the tarot for each set of cards, and for this particular person they got like the Page of Pentacles, Page of Cups reversed, and the Four of Wands. Now the energy that is coming through, and it's geared towards answering this particular person's question, so it is for them, but you may learn something for your own situation. There's a sense of immaturity, and there's things around money, and the emotions aren't grounded in something substantial. It wants to be grounded in this Four of Wands, which is about stability, happy families, having that groundedness in a happy home life. Defining a happy home life, what is that? What does it actually mean? We've got two people here and they are outside their castle, and there's a sense of, coming together. It's a celebration, it might be a wedding, it's a union as such. So this is talking about how we bring our emotions and the practicalities of that into creating stability, creating a happy home life. Like this one here, he's got the cup. Generally the page is about communication and bringing something forward. This is around emotional stuff. This is how we handle our relationships and coming forward. There's been sort of a lack in that sense for the person that's asked the question. And then we've got the Page of Pentacles, who's in the realm of resources, money, connections, and trying to bring that forth, but it's not grounded within this particular person's sense of self. Now, they think that they are focused, but actually there's no clear definition. There's no way of it being consciously decided. It's stuff that's come from, growing up. It's family stuff. It's, childhood stuff. It's societal stuff, what you think it should be versus what it actually is. And, this person's an adult, so they can actually sit down and refine that. As for their person or the perception of their person, I feel, they've got the Wheel of Fortune, they've got the Queen of Pentacles, and then they've got the Magician in reverse. So that I do get the feeling that there's someone else involved, someone else that their attention is set on and that they prefer. And by way of the Wheel, there's major life changes happening for this particular person. They think it's the right option for them, but in actual fact, it's, based on what the Magician here, it's not going to go as planned, and it's not going to go the way that they thought it was going to go. We want to repair this relationship, or we want to be in a place where we are able to break away amicably, and this is, as I said before, was around containing the actual issue, not relating it back to a problem, not relating it back to something that happened in each individual's childhood or last relationship or, situation with their parents, whatever it is. We've got the Queen of Swords, Nine of Pentacles, Three of Wands. Truth is really what needs to be brought to the forefront, the truth of the matter. The Queen is around setting very strong boundaries. She doesn't muck around. She has a bit of a masculine energy about her. She's using her logic more than her feelings, which, we get from the Page of Cups. We want to have this firmness around, and by doing that, it gives everyone the stability and the ability to know where they stand. So both parties need to have a sense of honesty, but you need to be honest with yourself first and foremost. And it comes back to what you think the ideal relationship is and how to handle parts of that relationship so that it goes smoothly. Because, look, we all get triggered. We all, have stresses in life. We all have good things, bad things. It's how we handle it and how we want to repair the connection when things go astray. So if you bring in the boundaries as, the Queen of Swords, this is about truth. This is about facts. It's about being clear in a non-judgmental way, a non-inflammatory perspective, and the result of that is the Nine of Pentacles. Everyone's a bit happier, everyone feels a bit more grounded, a bit more stable, everyone knows the roles that they play within the contribution to that relationship. Three of Wands is generally around travel, and he's looking out to the horizon, and there's been options, but he's made a clear decision. He's holding one staff, so he's made a decision in alignment with that desire, and then left two behind. The three is about creativity. You might challenge that. My interpretation of the three is about creation. So, to answer this person's question about, what they should do with a relationship, where is it going, it's time for that person, the person that asked the question, to look at how they define it and to cut ties with the past. And this, aspect here is looking at, I guess, being honest being honest with themselves, but there's a big life change for them anyway, so they're going to make a very different choice in life that has nothing to do with this particular person. So it's about accepting the fact that things are going to close up and things will, they will separate and move on. But in order to leave in a state where you don't feel ripped off or hard done by or unresolved, it's creating those boundaries around the truth and around facts, and actually being able to say, look, there's more to come in life. You know, the bottom three cards, it's the Four of Wands, Three of Wands, and the Magician in reverse, and everyone has the power to create their life, but it works with definitions. It works with defining it so that everyone who is involved benefits. You know, it's a win-win-win. What else can I say about this particular reading? Sometimes we don't want to hear what we already know is the truth. It's coming to terms with accepting that and the repercussions of making that decision based on that. This is not for you to go, well, you know, that tarot reader on YouTube said to do this and it's their fault that things happen. This is about reflecting inward and saying, where am I in alignment to my values and where have I stepped away? How is that showing up in the relationship? And is every single party willing to work towards it? Or is it best to just call it a day and separate? But going by this particular spread and answering the question, this person is moving into a different situation, and this person who asked the question is having to make different decisions and be in a power position of designing their life much more in accordance with everyone that's involved, because this person has children, you know, so it's to benefit everybody. And sometimes we're going to have to make a hard call for the moment, but our future self will appreciate it. Anyway, that's an interesting reading, and if you felt something, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Constructive criticism is always appreciated, you know, or input is appreciated. Otherwise, I shall catch you in the next reading. Bye for now.